So dogs are a man's best friend, so much so that often they bark a lot for us when we're not around. And sometimes it's a behavioural problem and sometimes it's not. So we're going to talk to Dr. Richard today to find out more about why our dogs bark. I've got a dog that barks. It's driving me insane. So, and probably my neighbours as well. So tell me, Dr. Richard, why do dogs bark when we leave, or sometimes even when we're home?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think two different reasons there. One is if you're at home, probably protective, probably showing off a bit, but mostly protective. There's a chance that when they're barking at home and we give them attention, even if it's negative attention, we might be like positively rewarding the behavior. So it could be like kids acting out to get attention. It's the same thing. Furry kids do the same thing. Which sort of makes sense. I mean, we think dogs were domesticated because they offered us protection. So, going way back thousands of years, maybe tens of thousands of years, we probably provided, food and, scraps to our, dogs that sort of followed us, and they in turn sort of protected us and were good guard dogs for us. So that instinct to sort of protect and bark at things is very deeply ingrained. The reason it's good to understand that is that it's a challenging behavior to curb, So I think going down the sort of protective barking route, because you've got that problem yourself, don't you?
I do. So I have a dog that probably can't protect me at all physically, but on a barking point of view, I'm sure she keeps other people away.
A good alert.
Absolutely, she's a good alert, but she barks even if the neighbour closes their bin lid.
Okay, well, it could be a dangerous bin lid. You never know, right?
You never know. It could be really super scary.
So,
exactly.
Sure. So let's say we wanted to curb that behaviour. Probably the very first thing we would do would be to sort of try to separate her from any stimulus for barking. So, like I had a client recently, and when they were leaving the house, their dog was just barking at everyone they walked past, and every dog that walked past, and every car. And what they did was they'd actually set up like little webcams in their house to work out where their dog was barking. And it turns out it was just from one room, and all they had to do was shut the door to that room, and the dog stopped barking, because the dog could no longer see all of these barking triggers that were just continually being presented. So,
yes.
Some dogs have a really good vantage point, whether it's the front yard or the kitchen, whatever, but they have a point where they like to sort of observe and protect from, and often just separating them from there is all you need to do to stop them from barking. So that'd be your first thing, right? So just separate them from the stimulus. And yeah, totally, it can be inconvenient. You have to put up like baby gates or leave them in the backyard instead of the front yard or something like that. But can be quite effective and quite simple, right?
Yeah.
So I think occasionally they can bark from boredom or anxiety, in which case, treating the anxiety with things like intense exercise in the morning. So more than a walk, a really hardcore run where they're running and running and running until they're pretty buggered. That can help to kind of curb that excess energy and that anxious energy that dogs naturally have. Because remember, they're much more natural athletes than you and I, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
Better than any human athlete. They can run further, they can run faster. And they kind of need to burn off this energy. And really, we're taking these animals that should be, running all day and socially interacting and, being exposed to all these smells and stimuli and social activity. And then we're kind of putting them in this little box of a house and expecting them to be perfectly well behaved. And it's not a realistic expectation. So we sort of need to provide that stimulus and that you're burning off of that energy, with really intense exercise. They'd be your top couple of things to do. Other things you can do is try to redirect their attention, right? So you can get things like, those Kong toys or like treat toys, and instead of feeding them in a bowl where there's no work for their food, you can try feeding them in putting some peanut butter in a Kong toy, or putting food in like a puzzle toy, so they have to muzzle it along and then it drops a little treat sort of thing. And that sort of helps to sort of mentally stimulate them as well. Yeah. But if it's a real problem, if you do the above steps, separate them from the stimulus, and you exercise them a lot, and then you're giving them something else to do in the forms of a puzzle toy. Really after that, you can start looking at, okay, let's say if you're home, training, so obedience training. If you're not at home, if you think it's anxiety driven, you could consider things like, going to see the vets, discussing medications for anxiety, because some dogs are way more highly strung than others. That'd be, you can get barking collars, but really I wouldn't use them on unless it's on the advice of the vet. But I think what to be aware of is that some people come to the vets with a barking dog and they really just want some drugs to stop the barking, and that's really not, it's not very effective, and it's not the best option for the dog. I mean, really the behaviour training, as we've just discussed, is the absolute cornerstone of management. And then drugs are, really, we just use like anti-anxiety medications and everything to maybe get us over the line for that, there's 10-15% of dogs that don't respond reliably to the behaviour training. So.
Very interesting, because realistically there's no real way except for that taking away the stimulus realistically, because they're made to bark, dogs, really. Otherwise, why
I'm saying it's literally in their DNA to protect us, which is really sweet. And some of us have dogs to some extent because they're protection.
Yes.
But we sort of only want them to do it when it suits us, and that's just not a realistic expectation. So.
Because how can you train them, because obviously you want them to bark when someone's coming to the door or something like that.
True, that's right.
So is that when you reward them, but you just ignore the bad behaviour?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, so let's say they're doing it at home excessively, and that's a really good point. Certainly, so what you can do is when, let's say someone knocks at the door and they bark, you can say, bark, and then tell them they're a good dog and give them the reward. And over time, they sort of learn that the bark command means they bark.
Yeah.
So that's good. So you're encouraging barking when someone knocks at the door. And then you can even do that in the backyard. So you can say, you can do your sit and your stay and your wait. Then you can do the speak or the bark, and hopefully that bark, and you give them a reward. And what this can teach them to do is, it teaches them that their bark is under your command, if that makes sense, or only when someone knocks at the door. So we're kind of directing that behavior into a very specific situation, as opposed to just this generalized, I'm anxious, let's bark. There's a cat 2 blocks away, let's bark. You know what I mean?
Yes. Someone started a lawnmower.
Yeah, someone started a lawnmower, let's bark. And so putting it under control, absolutely can help to redirect it. In terms of, making them quiet, I've got to admit, once they're barking and they're really excited, it's difficult to bring that down.
And if you start saying, stop barking, they think you're joining in with the barking,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. Got it.
Mum's on it too, I'm going to keep going.
That's it. So, really, if you can sort of see something's happening and they're thinking of barking and you don't want them to bark, so let's say there's a lawnmower and they're just thinking, I might bark, get their attention before their stress escalates, and get them under control, and then reward them for being under your control, right?
Yep.
So make them say, hey, come, sit, stay, paw, good dog, good job, wait, do all that sort of thing, and just get them under your control and reward them when they're okay, good.
Just like your kids, really.
Is that right? Yeah, sure.
Is there ever a medical reason? You mentioned anxiety a few
excessively. Yes, anxiety. But keeping in mind that most dogs who seem anxious to start with, they're really just anxious because we're not exercising them enough, we're not stimulating them enough. I mean, we're going through COVID right now, and you guys are working from home, and you're starting to kind of get it, it's pent up in the house all day, and got all this energy, and there's no social stimulus, and You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I kind of get it.
We want someone to take us for a walk too.
Someone needs to like throw the ball for me. I need to go for a big run. Yeah, burn off some energy.
Yep.
And really, that's more the problem.
Yeah.
You know, that like they shouldn't be putting me on drugs because I'm feeling pent up. I should be being taken for a walk, right? But it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
With those guys, and these are high drive, intelligent animals, social creatures used to continual stimulation, exercise, social interaction, and we need to provide that as much as we can.
Love it. Perfect note to end on. So if you are having problems with your dog barking, you've just learned it's a normal thing, but you've got to redirect it. But if you're having any problems whatsoever, go and see the team from Cairns Vets. They'd love to help you out.